So then we are back with the more understandings from the Renewed Covenant, from the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation is from the original manuscripts of the prophets of old, from the time of the prophets of Israel, and then gives us the understanding of the time of the end in its relation with the many prophecies and times and seasons, where then people can get their bearings from. We understand during the time of the Messiah, he gave then the Samaritans couple days of his ministry, indicating 2,000 years of the rulership of the Gentiles. Then we understand this time he spent with the Samaritans was roughly 40-31, because the understanding of the AD and BC, it was invented, as then Daniel said, during the time of then the beast, he would then try to change times and seasons. Times came from then AD, BC times, and then seasons. Rather than understanding the seasons of time, they would understand by chronological. It never works. So then, understanding from the fact of then times and seasons, we also must point out the fact of then having the holy prophecies related with the Torah, or the 10 laws of Yahweh. So then, understanding from the viewpoint of then the seasons and the time, so we understand how to make sure those are intact. We have the Messiah then speaking of then 2,000 years given to the Gentiles, and then another time you find then Revelation, the 20th chapter, you find 1,000 years then his people would be in charge, and then the other 1,000 years would be then the time of Satan to mix up the religions and trying to make this system to work, and never did. So 2009 has ended his rulership of 1,000 years, so then we are returning back to the truth, where then the holy cities are then returning. We are during the time of the rebuilding or restoration, as per then Yeshayahu, known as Isaiah 61st chapter. So then we begin to understand what it means. So from the time we find in the Messiah speaking of then 1,000 and another 1,000, he speaks of then their understanding of heaven and the directives given to the nations. Then during the time of Constantine and onwards until 1009, those holy cities were then persecuted. In 1009, then the Muslims destroyed the holy city and also the tomb. That's when then Satan the destroyer was put in prison, and then his facet of deceit had taken over. Then we have 1,000 years of the church, but it's a fraud. It's not the same as the holy tabernacles. And the Messiah told his people, go around the world and form holy cities, and in them would have the holy tabernacles. So then in 2009, this time had ended. So then we are returning to the truth, while then his people, the Hebraic people, are returning to their holy cities, and then resuming the second tabernacle services. Without the reduction of time from the first gospel, the 24th chapter, then we have a maximum of 2031 per prophecy. With the reduction of time, then we understand from the Creator's decision, then this time is reduced, and then the people, the set apart, must resume the second tabernacle services, because they must prepare themselves for the autumn feast, or then the vengeance, and then they must receive yet a second anointing. So then they are going to teach the word of Yahweh, as with lots of authority, as the Messiah did, yet would signify rod of iron. So then we begin to understand what we are at. 2031 is the very maximum, 6031 per Creator's calendar, without the reduction of time. If the Creator decided not to reduce a whole lot of time, then we understand 490 days later, then the age closes. And then comes the shower of sulfur, destroys this earth and the armies against the holy cities. And then the earth is renewed. Then later comes Jerusalem from heaven, establishes the capital in the earth. And then comes then the meal with the Messiah. Then the sound of the shofar is going to sound, and then people are going to come from their resting places. And then they have the meal. So maximum of 6031 without the reduction. Then another 490 days. And then the age closes. Maybe it's scary for some people because they were never taught properly. Because we are then from the time of the Torah when it was first then recorded until our time comes a understanding. So then we begin to relate with it per times and seasons. And it ends in 6031. Truly does. Then we have only another 490 to complete the other part of the Torah and the prophets and the writings. And then the age closes. No more time. So please stay tuned, because then in Revelation I'm going to explore more of these details so then we can be prepared for it, while we ourselves are then in a Gentile level waiting for this new system from China to get our dues then up to date. Please stay tuned.